Hey, it's Coach Danny, and today I just wanted to show you some of my favorite top PE games that you can play without any equipment. So maybe you're playing out on the playground or the sports field. The games are great for all ages, so let's get straight to it. This first game is called Pacman, and all you need is an area that does have sports court lines. So if you have a basketball court with lines, that would be perfect. Now everyone's going to start by finding their own place on any of those lines. And your teacher's got to choose two people to start in the middle of the court, and they're going to be the Pacmen. And basically the game is you've got to avoid getting tipped by those Pacmen. So to play the game, you have to move along the lines only and move to avoid those Pacmen who are also moving along the lines. Now here's someone moving along and they get tipped. If you get tipped, you have to sit down and you're out of the game, and the Pacman gets to keep going to try and tip more people. So if you get tipped and you sit down, you actually become a block, and so no one else can come past you except the Pacman. So you have to turn around and go and find another route. And very simple, the game keeps going until there's one person left as a survivor. A progression of this is for the teacher to choose someone to be a doctor. And if you get tipped, the doctor can come and touch on the shoulder, and you get to stand back up and play on, and the doctor can heal people back into the game, and the doctor themselves cannot be tipped. Now, a teacher might also tell you a specific way to move around the lines instead of running. So remember, staying on the lines only. It might be hopping, skipping, or even sidestepping along those lines. This next game is called Shadow Tag, and all you need is a simple boundary area, either using lines or, if you have them, markers. Firstly, you got to get everyone into pairs. Now in those pairs, one player is the escaper, so they have to choose, and the other player is the shadow. Now the aim is for the escaper to escape their shadow. So when the teacher calls go, the escapers run away, and the shadows follow to try and keep as close as possible to the escapers. Now at any point, the teacher's got to blow the whistle and call freeze. And at that point, everyone has to freeze where they are. Now if the shadow player is within an arm's length reach of the escaper has to do a fitness challenge. And if the escaper is out of the reach of the shadow, then it's the shadow who has to do a fitness challenge. So each time the teacher's got to call out a different fitness task. So you can choose anything like 5 push-ups, maybe it could be 10 star jumps, or running on the spot for 10 seconds. The teacher or even the students can choose a challenge. Then you switch roles and play again. The shadow becomes the escaper, and the escaper is the shadow. And after a few rounds, you can also switch partners as well. Now, not only is this great with no equipment, but if you have it, you can also play it like dribbling with a soccer ball or a basketball or even a hockey ball and stick. Ball rush is a classic game, and all you need is an area that has 2 clear end zones and sidelines, and that could be walls, lines, or even using markers. So the teacher chooses 2 people to start in the middle as taggers, and everyone else is lined up at one end. And to play the game, the taggers in the middle call out ball rush, and then everyone has to run out and try to get to the other side. Obviously the taggers are trying to tip the people running, so they call ball rush. If you do get tipped, you turn into a tagger as well for the next round. Now you're safe once you cross the end zone, and they keep going side to side, but if you do go out of bounds, you are then out, and then you also have to become a tagger. And you just keep going round by round, and as the tippers build up, there's going to be one runner left at the end as the winner. Now a fun variation is to have the taggers call out different people to run. So for example, they might call out run if you have blonde hair, or run if you have a pet dog, or run if you have green on your clothes. So you can have fun with it and get different ways for the kids to run across. And you can also change the way that tippers have to tag. So maybe they use a bib or a foam noodle, and if you have them, obviously use that, and then the players have to sit out when they get tagged. The next game is called leg tag, and for this everyone just needs to get into pairs and find their own space in the area as a pair. So it's a simple reaction game. All you have to do is try and tap your partner's leg behind the knee without getting tapped yourself. So if you tap your partner, they must quickly do a push-up, and then they stand back up again and you both go again. It's important that you do not slap each other, and if you both tap each other at the same time, you both have to do a push-up. And after 1 minute, teacher blows the whistle and everyone switches partners. Now, a variation of this is to count the score within the round, and instead of doing the forfeit straight away, you got to do the challenge when time is up. So it could be star jumps, up downs, anything like that, some sort of fitness challenge that you choose. You can even get into groups of 3, make it more challenging and fun as well. Knock and run is another simple reaction game, and all you need is 2 lines spaced about 15 meters apart. You can always make it bigger, and if you can, use cones to mark out those lines. And then you just get everyone to line up in 3 or 4 groups at the first starting line, and let's just have a look at one group. So the first person in the line moves across to the line on the other side, and they face forward the whole time, and the next person in line has to creep up behind them and then quickly taps them on the shoulder. And as soon as the tap is made, the first player has to react and chase the second player back to the beginning, and when those 2 players return back, they both join another line. And so the groups get mixed all the time. There'll be different chasers, different reactors, and it's a simple game that you can also add individual scoring to as well. Survivor is probably my favorite game, and all you need is everyone to just find their own space in the playing area. So in this game, everyone is a tipper, and working individually, you've got to try and tag everyone else. So if you get tipped by someone else, you have to sit down, but you're not out of the game. You keep an eye on that person who tagged you, because then if they get tagged, you get to stand back up, and then you're back in the game. Now, if 2 people tag each other at the same time, then they do rock, paper, scissors. Hint, always go rock. That's my suggestion. And then the loser would obviously sit down. And you can play multiple rounds lasting 2 to 3 minutes each. And if you're left surviving when the round is over, you get a point. A simple variation is to change the method of movement again, so something like skipping or hopping. And you can also progress the game by only allowing people to tag behind the legs, so kind of like the leg tag that we saw earlier. Anywhere else on the body, it wouldn't count. The last game is number relays, and you can play this anywhere that has 2 ends. I prefer to play it at a wall. You just need to divide a class into 2 teams and then have them lined up at each end. Now within each team, you need to give everyone a number. So if you had 10 on the team, it'd obviously be the numbers 1 to 10. Here we're just going to look at numbers 1 to 4. And the game is super simple. The teacher calls out a number, for example the number 2, and that player from each team must run to the other end, touch the wall, come back and touch their wall. And the player who gets back first gets a point for their team. And you can then start calling out multiple numbers like 1 and 4. And the team that gets both back, they're the ones that win the point. So it's the player who's last loses the point for their team. And then you can progress it to having everyone start in different positions, like in the push-up position, or maybe balancing on one leg, or hopping on the spot. And then you have to run. You can also add in additional tasks like touching cones, for example. So they have to run around the cones or touch them and then come back. Or use whatever equipment you have. Maybe you can put up some hurdles in the middle and they have to jump or hop over those hurdles when they run. And then they've obviously got to get back as quick as they can. So you can use whatever equipment you have if you have it. So there you have it, 7 awesome activities using no equipment. Now you can have fun with it, you can change it up, you can always add in a little bit of equipment if you need to. Have fun out there, and I'll see you next time for some game-changing sport.